As we all know, the liberal media in Canada is deeply corrupt. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his Liberal Party of Canada are also very unpopular. And that's how I think we get stories like this coming up, because the media is swinging at the fences at every single story that could potentially put federal Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre in a bad light. There is no polishing the turd that is Trudeau's Liberal Party anymore, so the media is just trying to throw mud at the Conservatives and take attention off all of the failures of Trudeau and his government. And so now we're talking about this really dumb hypothetical story on whether or not the federal Conservatives might have used a bot farm to create a fake buzz over an event that was taking place on Kirkland Lake in northern Ontario. I'm just going to break down the general facts of what's going on here and then talk about why I think this is effectively a fake story. Could it be true that someone in the Conservative Party used a bot farm to try and create fake hype around Poilievre for a single event? Sure. Also, there are probably better motivations for this to be completely fake, to generate anti-conservative smear stories, because anyone can do this. It's not like the Conservative Party is the only one who could put out bots to say nice things about them. Literally anyone with effectively $100 could have done this. But here are the tweets in question. I'll zoom in on a few of them here. So these are all basically the bot tweets that came out after this Kirkland Lake event, from random accounts just with fake people on them. And they all basically say a version of, I was in Kirkland Lake last night and witnessed firsthand the energy and passion of the crowd at Pierre Poilievre's rally. As a Northern Ontario resident, it's refreshing to see a leader who truly understands our unique challenges. Just had the opportunity to attend Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake, and I was blown away by the energy. As a woman from Northern Ontario, it's refreshing to see a leader who truly listens to our concerns and understands our way of life. And you go through it, there's a lot of specific words that they all use. There's a few different versions. You always see the word buzzing somewhere in most of the posts, or people talking about the energy. It's obviously fake. It's obviously from a bot farm. Now, what was kind of suspicious about this whole thing is a few different reasons. Let's go through them. One, let's just start off with motives. Is a party motivated to create fake buzz? Sure, that happens a lot. There's a lot of parties who will pay people to even show up at rallies, hold signs up for them. Happens a lot in the US where there's a lot more money in politics, so every harebrained scheme from a campaign could potentially get funded. In Canada, there's actually not that much money in politics. So if you've ever worked for a party, I'm currently helping work for the BC Conservatives to try and oust David Eby and the NDP. If you want to help us out, if you live in BC, donate below to the Abbotsford South riding. We're trying to win the entire Fraser Valley, and we're using this riding as the anchor riding to collect money and distribute out to other campaigns that need it. Shameless plug right there. But parties are very tight-fisted with money. Even if you're the federal Conservatives and you do not have money problems, they are currently way outpacing the Liberals and the NDP for fundraising. The Liberals are somewhere around like $6.7 million fundraised this year, and the Conservatives are at $20.5 million. It's crazy. But the Conservatives are also 20 points ahead of the Liberals in most of the polls. Yeah, some of them only put them 17 points up, but other ones put them 21 points up. Some of the polls put the Liberals within the margin of error with the NDP. I think they'll still be able to outpace the NDP because Jagmeet Singh is absolutely focusing on increasing his incompetence stat every single day. It's like other people, grind for knowledge. They try and make themselves more charismatic. Jagmeet Singh every single day is trying to focus on being more incompetent. But the Conservatives, why would they now? They've never done it for other events, because if they did it for other events, I guarantee an internet sleuth would have already figured it out that for some event in Ottawa or Montreal or Calgary, that the Conservatives had used bots to try and pump up the number of people talking about the event. But so the Conservatives are going to use a bot farm with around 300 posts, 270 posts. It was in that ballpark, to try and pump up a Kirkland Lake event in Northern Ontario, a town with, I'm going to say like 9,000 people. I believe it's not even that much. It's only 7,900 people. Obviously, people from neighboring counties and towns will show up for the event, but this is a small event. Nobody expects there to be thousands of social media posts coming out about an event like this. Poilievre also does not have trouble getting attention on himself posting about the event himself and having thousands of people like it, hundreds of people retweet it, quote tweeting it, and all that stuff. It's not difficult for him to get attention. So why would they use a bot farm for this specific event? They're way ahead. They're not desperate. They have a big money advantage. So yeah, they could pay for it, but the thing is that it's a small town event with nobody expecting it to create a big social media explosion. So, but we get all these posts from bot accounts with, you can tell nobody's seen these, 26 views for some of these, 25 views, 12 views, 41 views. Bot farms don't work, and that's another reason why people, frankly, don't use them. Bot farming does not actually get you real support. I could see, and I'm not trying to say that they do it all the time. Someone might have done it to the Liberals too. I've seen other posts, and we can show them right here. The Pleb Reporter and someone else was posting these. There are a lot of these posts that you can see that the Liberals have also used. So every party is technically motivated to do it, but I don't understand it in the case of the Conservative Party. Now, if you're a left-wing activist or journalist, what stops you from paying $200, $150 to get all of these bot accounts posting this stupid, buzzing type thing about how, oh, I just went to a Poilievre rally and I'm absolutely buzzing? One of the things behind the story that also doesn't make sense is if you go through and people have a lot of these bot accounts, because oftentimes the bot farm doesn't just create the account, post a few things, and then delete it a week later. They keep reusing them. If you go back in their history, they were posting pro-environmental activist type stuff, pro-carbon tax type stuff. That doesn't mean it's a liberal who first created these bots. It just means a lot of people use them. And it means that they're not exclusively been created for the Conservatives. And again, even the fact that they said something nice about Poilievre does not mean it's a conservative thing. Again, if you're a journalist, you want to get thousands of eyes on your website. I'm not saying this is what happened, but if you wanted to get thousands of eyes on your website, you could just pay $100, make it look, Poilievre look pathetic and insecure because look at all these bots praising him, and then write a story about it. And I find the fact that the whole media is triangulating on this story very suspicious, because this is a non-story. Let's even pretend someone in the Conservative Party approved this and it was from the Conservatives. That guy's going to get fired in 5 seconds because this is a stupid idea. I don't know who would have approved it. That person should be fired too if it did come from the Conservatives. But I find it suspicious that so many people have started covering this from different media outlets, CTV News, CBC, Aurelia Matters, or whatever, some small town paper. And then even below, you can see the federal NDP saying, federal NDP requests Elections Canada to investigate bot farms. Really? We need a federal investigation because 100, 200, 300 bots posted something about a stupid Pierre Poilievre rally. And again, we've seen it for Liberals in the past. Liberal bot accounts posting things. And it doesn't mean that the Liberals paid for it, but accounts pretending to be Liberal supporters were posting the exact same things over and over again about how I'm a Canadian and I support Justin Trudeau. I think he's doing a fantastic job. And I find it also just petty and silly that you have people like Maxime Bernier, the leader of the federal PPC, posting about this. I'm not one of these people who thinks that the PPC is a front for the Liberals. They're funding the PPC in order to try and hurt the Conservatives. If that was true, why has the PPC's fundraising just been absolutely plowing into the side of a mountain over the past year? I think they're actually behind the Bloc Québécois now in terms of fundraising. And you could say, well, it should be easy for the Bloc to fundraise. They are, they have multiple MPs. Well, the PPC also gets to fundraise across the entire country because the Bloc doesn't really have a lot of Albertans giving them money, and now they're falling behind even the Bloc. So it's a dead party. They've only raised like $300,000 this year so far compared to the Conservatives' $20 million. And the fact that Bernier is amplifying this is pathetic. It's sad. It doesn't mean anything too. Again, even if we just say for a second, it's true. Poilievre is truly, even from his office, he said, can you have 300 bots say my Kirkland Lake event was fantastic? Okay, does this affect anything? And the media is trying to do this whole, well, actually, this demonstrates that Poilievre's very bad and evil and whatever. And it's like the story goes nowhere. It's just that the media doesn't want to talk about Justin Trudeau. There are thousands of stories that could be written about Justin Trudeau's terrible Liberal government, their support for the Safe Supply program in Toronto, their support for the ongoing safe supply program in BC, the terrible performance of the Canadian of the Canadian economy, mass immigration, the housing shortage, the failure for the government to actually create more housing starts. Yes, housing starts are slightly up across the country, but it depends on the province you're in. So in some provinces it's down, some provinces it's up, like this chart shows right here. So it shows the national program is not creating uniform results, and the results aren't uniform. Then it probably is more of a provincial matter on whether houses are actually getting built or not, and we're just burning money, or Sean Fraser, our housing minister, is just burning money pretending that he's trying to help the situation, while also the government is bringing in 1.3 million people in just the year 2023 alone. But no, this is a great story for all the left-wing media who wants to pretend to be super sleuths and uncovering conservative corruption. So now I'm going to jump over to our favorite internet super sleuth, Steve Boots, who is here to make jokes on Pierre Poilievre's expense, because I don't know, his speculation that this is something Poilievre did is enough evidence in order to indict him, I suppose. But here's Steve Boots trying to make hay out of this story of absolute nothingness.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, pictured here making a new Twitter follower, has a bit of a bot problem. You see, his rally in Kirkland Lake last week was heavily promoted by an absolutely massive number of online bots. Hundreds of them saying that they were excited to be at the rally, and a few that said they braved the cold despite the fact that it was almost 25 degrees.
Shouldn't that tell you? And he's going to go on to just pretending like it's just confirmed that it must be some conservative doing this. Wouldn't it tell you that it's probably not the conservatives doing this if they were stupid enough to have them say, I braved the cold going up to Northern Ontario? Like, maybe it's a bot farm in India or some warm country, and the only thing they know about Canada is it's cold. So they're like, I braved the cold to get there, even though it's the middle of August. I don't think this is real. There's just nothing here that makes me think that it's actually the conservatives doing this, but activists online want to talk about it because it's a oh man, Poilievre's an idiot, dunk on him kind of a story.
72% of them identified as being from the United States. And predictably, the Poilievre campaign is claiming ignorance, saying they have nothing to do with it.
Now, I hate coverage like this. What just a smug fool sitting there being like, and predictably they denied any involvement. Yeah, they might not be involved, idiot. Of course they're going to deny involvement. Of course the Poilievre campaign denied involvement. What do you think? It's like the whole, if you say you're innocent, then that you're just covering up the fact you're actually guilty. Like, give me a break here. I think this is actually an easier way of seeing the video because of the way his stuff is clipped.
But also saying they don't want to investigate it. Nothing to hide, but don't investigate. Because the NDP has requested a formal independent third-party investigation from the Elections Commissioner. Conservatives are saying no.
Do you know why a major party would say no? Because why would you subject yourself to an investigator going through the back end, all your data for your party, to find out if potentially 270 bots might have been purchased by your party? It's a, darned if you do, darned if you don't kind of a situation. You don't want them snooping through your party's back-end data, because of course you don't. And it's over something where even if you did something and they purchased the bots, what? The Liberals have had bots tweet stuff in favor of them. I guarantee the NDP, the Greens, the Bloc, the PPC have all had bots boosting their content. But we're going to use this ginned up story that doesn't make any sense to then let investigators snoop around the Conservatives, and then they get to the media, can have updating stories about investigators interviewing people, and they're trying to get to the bottom of this stupid story. At the same time, the Liberals just have billions of dollars sometimes go missing. They don't know, like, it's not been like gone missing like it was stolen, but they just don't know what we spent it on. That's an actual story worth investigating. A few hundred bots that only make the Conservative Party look bad. Again, I don't think they actually were the ones who purchased them. That we'd be like, it doesn't even make the Conservatives look good. They're pretending like they're investigating the Conservatives for like stealing. Like fraudulent donations or something like that. Or they created fake accounts or like fake stories to smear their opponents. Like, this is only something that makes the Conservatives look bad, and they're getting investigated for it.
They deny any role in it and are attacking the NDP for criticizing it, saying, quote, "It is unsurprising that the NDP is once again spreading baseless conspiracy theories." They're not baseless. We've seen the bots.
It's baseless because that's surface level, that there is bots that exist that said something nice about Poilievre. That is surface level. A base to the story would be a connection to the Conservative Party that demonstrates that there's something here. There is actual smoke here. This just shows that bots said something about the Conservative. So in theory, I'm going to have to explain this to Steve because apparently his beanie's on too tight. But if I wanted to create, based on the rules he is setting here, a bad story for the NDP, what I could do was pay for 200 bots to say that Jagmeet Singh is a gentleman and a scholar, and he totally never has been a Khalistani in his entire life. And then, because I noticed those bots myself, well, now the NDP needs to be investigated. We need their offices raided. We need Jagmeet Singh to show up in front of hearings and say, "I did not use the bots." And well, why did the bots say something nice about you? It seems like somebody from your campaign might have purchased these bots. It's a stupid story. That's obviously a nonsensical way of viewing this. That you're basically, because bots said something nice about you, that only makes you look, which only embarrassed you in the time. Now we get to investigate you.
They're incredibly obvious. They say, quote, "The CPC does not pay for bots and has no idea who is behind these accounts. We are seeking the support of actual Canadians, as witnessed by large in-person turnouts at our events." Always with the crowd sizes. To be very clear.
Yeah, because they can actually get crowd sizes. Steve would be bringing up the crowd sizes of Liberals if they actually had good crowd sizes, or the NDP, or whatever flavor of the month party he's supporting on the left. But yeah, they have good crowd sizes. So again, that's a good piece of counter evidence. Why would the Conservatives need bots if they're not down the polls? Again, we have Liberals using bots. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. We have Liberal bots here. Not that the Liberal Party purchased them. I don't know who did. But the Liberals have far more motivation to try and buy fake support than the Conservatives do, because the Conservatives have real support that could win them in a majority government. The Liberals are fighting to stay above the Bloc Québécois in the projected seat counts.
If the Conservatives actually had nothing to hide here, why would they be against investigating it? Like, if there are
because you don't want people snooping through your party over baseless claims, or it would incentivize more baseless claims as a form of harassment.
Online bots hired by a third party to interfere with our elections, why don't they want to look into it? An important reminder that in this sort of situation, the folks fighting against the...
I'm gonna pause it. I haven't seen it. I'm going to posit that Steve Boots is not much of an anti-CCP hawk who wants Liberals investigated for potentially working with the CCP to win re-election in 2021 and 2019. I'm just going to posit that. I don't think he actually cares about election interference. I think he cares about election interference, 300 stupid bots, when he can make an argument that the Conservatives should be investigated. Does he want the NDP investigated for potential ties to the Khalistani movement, basically intimidating people into trying to vote for Jagmeet Singh? Going to do that? No, he's not, because it doesn't affect a party. It would affect a party he likes.
Investigation are the ones with something to hide. They got caught. They're scared it's going to look worse for them. Because the Conservatives insist they didn't hire these bots, and that is quite likely. But it sure seems like they don't want us to find out who did hire them. Wonder why that might be.
We can just act skeptical. I hate this garbage. I've said this a few times in the video. I hate this smug skepticism crap that makes someone feel intellectual. I wonder why someone wouldn't want to look into this. Do you have anything? Or is it just smugness? Smugness isn't intellect. Good thing Steve Boots is no longer a teacher in Saskatchewan. He recently quit his job or whatever to be an influencer online. And, the IQ of Saskatchewan children has no doubt already gone up a point or two.
Liberals and the NDP are both calling for independent investigations here. Conservatives aren't. And if you're a Poilievre supporter and thinks that that's just fine, I want you to imagine for just a moment that Justin Trudeau got caught being supported by a massive bot farm, completely proven that it happened, and he blocked investigations. Would you say that's perfectly fine? That is an acceptable behavior from a political leader? Or are you only going to cut that sort of slack to Poilievre?
I've actually already said this, and I don't actually view Steve's entire videos before I put them on the show. I don't want to, like, take notes on the full 2 minutes of what he says and then figure out what I'm going to say at each time code. I watch the first 20 seconds to see if it's generally on topic for what I want to talk about today, and I react to it raw. I've already said, yeah, there are liberal accounts. He makes it sound concretely or whatever he said about, like, it's proven that they are supporting him. Well, we have accounts showing that they support the liberals. They're bot accounts that support the liberals. And guess what? I don't think the liberals should be investigated over it, because who cares? Who actually cares? Again, we can go back to the chart of all the bots supporting Poilievre. They're getting 14 views. Nobody's looking at this stuff. It's not getting any eyes on it. And think about that. That the people who even found the bots, even when they found them, no one had viewed them. And the only way most people have seen the bots are people creating the big charts of all the accounts and taking screenshots of them. Nobody actually organically saw the posts in the first place. You think if the Conservatives were using bot accounts, they would then have real accounts start retweeting and liking those posts and boosting them to show that locals on the ground like them. And you think they would at least require that the farm they were purchasing them from actually label the accounts as being Canadians and living in the area. They didn't. It's stupid. Nobody would pull off some sort of political op this terrible on behalf of the party that the bots were meant to support if they did it. So yes, I'm not calling for the liberals to be investigated over any of this. I want them maybe investigated over actual foreign interference concerns around Han Dong and other CCP influencing of votes in certain jurisdictions in Canada, because that's a major issue. But overall, I don't really care about bot farm issues. I don't really care about these stories, because bots are never going to make a party popular. They're not. They're never going to. Anyone would see this and say, this looks very fake. And if they found out how much if a party was actually using bots, was using them, they would just point and laugh. There's nothing, you can't purchase support. Michael Bloomberg in the 2020 Democratic primaries has proven that money does not actually buy you election victory. Name recognition, brand recognition buys you victory. Or not buys, but it helps. Your personality, your policies, your brand recognition, your name recognition. Money helps get your vote out. That's where you can actually win an election with a deficit in money. Donald Trump won the 2016 election with a deficit of cash. Joe Biden won the 2020 Democratic primary with way less money than many of his opponents. Yes, he had the most money by the end of the primary, but you usually win about halfway through, and then the rest of it becomes a walkover and everyone starts giving you money. He beat Michael Bloomberg. He beat Bernie Sanders. He beat Tom Steyer. All these other campaigns who had more money than him. I'm not a Joe Biden fan, but it's just a good example. You can't AstroTurf support. Either the support exists and the money can help you turn that support out or identify the support, or it doesn't. There's always a billionaire or a millionaire trying to run for president or trying to run for some office, even in Canada, and they fall on their face because you can't beat actually having organic support. Anyways, so that should be it for me today, guys. If you live in BC, again, I'm going to plug the Abbotsford South riding for you guys to donate to. If you donate $100, you get a 75% tax credit, so it only costs you $25 to donate $100. The BC NDP, because of a lot of institutional policies and whatnot, that gives a lot of money from taxpayers to parties that do well in the last election, they have a big advantage over the Conservatives. We're in a situation where we have less money but more people like us, but they have fewer people liking them, but they have more money so they can drive out their vote more efficiently. So if you live in BC, donate so we can actually get our supporters out. And if you don't live in BC, consider donating to my legal fund in the description of this video below. It's the Give, Send, Go link. We have a Chinese billionaire suing myself and the National Telegraph, and I've paid over $32,000 into defending myself. It's a baseless defamation claim. He hasn't even provided any evidence over the 2.5 years this case has been going on. He assumed that he'd file his statement of claim, throw out a few pieces of, rhetorical, legal threats, and that I would apologize to him so he can pretend that he's big and powerful, and anyone ever saying anything bad about him is just lying and they don't know what they're talking about. And he's a gentleman and a scholar. So it costed me a lot, but we don't give in to bullies. So if you guys can contribute anything to that, it helps keep me in the fight here. And, other than that, I'll be here for another video later. Hopefully you guys like the content, me reacting to other people's videos as a part of me covering the news. I think it's fun. It keeps everything fresh. I get to bounce off the magnetic personality that is Steve Boots here. There's just something so uncanny about left-wing guys who then immediately adopt the scruffy beard, like black thick-rimmed glasses and beanie as their personality. But live and let live, I suppose. Have a good one, guys.